I want to ask you, if I can, specifically about the Japanese Grand Prix this year. What was the crowd like compared to previous years? Who were the VIPs that came? That sort of thing.
Well, the highlight of the VIP is, of course, as you have seen, Prime Minister Kishida. That's the first time in Japanese Formula One history that Prime Minister came to the Grand Prix, which means, I think, a lot for motorsports and also for this country, because there was, we didn't have a Japanese driver for 7 years until last year, and then also there was all those things happening with Honda getting out and coming back, and so it was the future of the sport in here in Japan was a little bit unclear for a couple of years, or more than a couple of years, 5-6 years, and then suddenly Tsunoda came, and now the Prime Minister is here, so that's a good sign. And that was, I think, the most highlight, because all the team principals lined up to just say hello to Prime Minister Kishida, which meant a lot, I think, also for the country, because now they're covering those news, also, not only on sports news, but also in regular news.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was amazing. I mean, it's the first Grand Prix with a Japanese driver in 8 years, and it was packed, sold out. I think we had more than 200,000 crowds in 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the exact number, but it was sold out, which I haven't seen. I was there for every race for this 10-15 years, but I never saw such a packed crowd since, I think, Kamui was in the podium.
Yeah.
So almost a decade.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It was the golden days or golden years are coming back. So I think that would be, or I hope it would be a good sign or a good start for the future with the Japanese Formula One culture.
That's great to hear that, Sascha. And in the rest of the world, not in the rest of the world, in North America and to some degree in Europe, we're talking about the Netflix Drive to Survive effect.
Right.
Has that been the same in Japan?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Not that much, because I personally loved the show, and it was also really interesting to see the backside or the side of Formula One. But it's basically in English, subtitles in Japanese. But because Netflix became more popular between the COVID era, but it's still not that huge as it is in North America or so. So I think we as the Zone, the Formula One rights holder for broadcast rights holder for Japan, we got more and more viewers to watch it. So I think, us doing the regular job and try to show the race more attractive, help maybe. And I think big thing is a Honda, of course, winning the championship last year,
right?
And fortunately to this year again. And Tsunoda's comeback, it was huge. So I think it was more the Japanese manufacturer and driver side which helped a lot.
So less Drive to Survive and more DAZN effect.
More Tsunoda and Honda effect, should I say? DAZN just was, just a tiny part of it. Just a logo on a shoulder.
You're being very modest. Let's talk, if we can, about how important the Japanese Grand Prix this year, the victory of Max Verstappen, how important was that for Honda?
I think it was huge because, after last year's final race, we were a bit sad because it was leaving with winning.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's a way of samurai, just leaving after winning, and it's a typical Japanese, I think, way of leaving the sport. But they had a difficult time with McLaren, and then switched Toro Rosso, and had a partnership with Red Bull, and it became like a golden era. And then suddenly they just went away, and then I don't know, because of the deal with Porsche didn't go well or whatever, they had the Honda logo back for this Japanese Grand Prix and the rest of the season, and then we won the title here. So wow, that's maybe, I don't know, but the god of motorsports is maybe helping us.
And that change in attitude towards Formula One. It looks like Honda staying in for a much longer term.
Yeah.
Do you know what's caused that? Is it the success? Is it a change in management? Is it Tsunoda's driving?
I think it's multiple reasons. Change of management. We have a new president of Honda, so maybe that changed. Well, it's a company, so I don't know. I don't want to go further for that. But well, that should be a big cause, of course. And then yeah, Tsunoda's driving, and we have Iwasa also in F2, which is a good sign for the Japanese drivers and also Honda drivers. So we have another option there on F2. And then yeah, and Honda's engine, they're we're going to use the same engine until 2025, and if Honda is having such a good engine, I think it seems it's the strongest in the paddock, I think now.
Yeah.
So I think there's no reason they just want to, it would be too much risk for Red Bull to switch to another manufacturer, I think. Yeah.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Let's speak about Yuki. What's the opinion of him in Japan? How famous is he?
Good question. In Japan, motorsports is huge in a way, but well, if he walks maybe in the street of Shibuya, will he be in a panic? I don't think so, because there's so much enthusiastic fans here in Japan, but generally he is famous in one part, but not really as a pop star. So it's quite different. So that's, I think, on the other hand, that's the reason why the drivers would like to come to Japan, to Tokyo, because they could walk down the street, walk down the crossing of Shibuya without panic. And so maybe, well, it's a way maybe showing the respect to those drivers, including Tsunoda, of the Japanese audience or the Japanese public. But yeah, so motorsports is, well, in Japan, like baseball, soccer is really big. So maybe we have to do more, and the zone have to do a much better job to increase that popularity. Yeah.
His teammate next year, of course, just recently announced, Nyck de Vries. Do you know much about him? Any opinion about him joining the team?
Yeah, I also do the commentary for Formula E for a couple of years now, for 5-6 years now. So I know well, and as the zone, we also show Formula 2 and Formula 3 live. So I was watching him from Formula 2 era, and then he switched to Formula E. And he became a champion, and I know how talented and how good he is. And I also do WEC, so he, the final call at Le Mans and just driving with all those gentleman drivers and winning the category was huge, I think, and it showed how talented he is.
Yeah.
And then the substitution for Albon, just was just, I think, the final click for all those things. And yeah, and I just met him 2 days ago and spoke with him, and I was talking, I'm doing also Formula E and Formula One, on which category will I see you next year? And it was like, oh, maybe Formula E. And then, a day later, he was like announcing everything. It's like, oh, you bastard. But anyway, and then we had a press conference today at Alpha Tauri's tent, and he was so confident about next year. And he was telling us that Dr. Helmut Marko wants him also to lead the team as a team leader, which is a bit sad because, we have Tsunoda, and he will be at the third year next year, and he will, and Nyck will be the first year. So, but anyway, that will be a good competition. If Tsunoda doesn't win against him, there will be no future for him. So
yeah.
For both sides it's the same, but it will be a tough competition, and he's confident he's a good driver, and it will be I think it would be a good competition in the team. Yeah.
I heard something today that's quite interesting, sort of slightly amusing, but actually quite serious, which is this is the smallest by height driver pairing in the history of Formula One.
Right.
After Anthony Davidson and Takuma Sato at Super Aguri. And of course, it's significant because the driver's weight, whilst they try and equalize it, it does help the teams. It gives them a little bit of a performance advantage. So that's going to help
Makes sense.
AlphaTauri next year. Yeah.
I think, maybe they can switch cars at each Grand Prix. Well, yeah. But I don't know. He was also telling us that Max Verstappen was involved in this whole, dramatic, change of drivers. He introduced Marco to Nyck de Vries, and they met, and it all happened. So maybe,
Gosh.
For Verstappen, it will be best future to have a Dutch lineup on Red Bull. So maybe that's his, dream, maybe after becoming a world champion. And let's see. But on the other hand, we in the Japanese side are hoping a bright future for Yuki. So, let's see what happens.
Let's see, exactly. And so we might end up one day with the Dutch lineup. Certainly half of it now of the two Red Bull teams is Dutch. Yeah. And on the other side, in the blue cars, Les Bleus are going to be completely Les Bleus next year. In fact, Team Normandy with Pierre Gasly moving to Alpine. What do you think about that, particularly the personal relationship between those two drivers, Gasly and Ocon?
I know. Ocon saying that he wants Mick Schumacher as a teammate was, a bit step too far to announce before anything happens. And I think that tells how difficult it is between Ocon and Gasly. But it's an old French lineup, and I'm sure they're professional. So, and for Gasly, I think going back to Red Bull is quite difficult now with a multi-year contract with Paris. So, and also Nick coming in, and also and Yuki is also good. So, and as you see at this recent races, Alpine has a really good car, also including here in Suzuka. So. I think it will be a good switch, and he might have a chance to win the second Grand Prix. So I think, all in all, the silly season I think helped Gasly for the switch. Yeah,
it did absolutely. You're right, calling it silly season as well, with Fernando Alonso leaving the Alpine team just as it gets the competitive car.
Exactly. They were announcing the new Alpine car, Fernando Alonso edition today in Suzuka, and I heard they're building like 30 couple of cars limited of the new Alpine car, a road car, which might be a nice thing to buy, maybe.
Very limited edition.
Let's hope there's not coming another Aston Martin limited edition next year.
Almost certainly will be. Final question, if I may. Pierre was involved in a bit of a controversy at Suzuka with the behind the safety car, there being a vehicle on the racetrack, of course, threw us back to 2014 and those terrible memories with Jules Bianchi. What's that? Having had time to digest it on your bullet train ride back to Tokyo, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't see on the international feed. We didn't see that, so I was really wondering why he was so angry, and I didn't know. I thought first I thought it was because he switched to wet tires first, and everybody was in Inters, so it was a big chance for him, and they stopped with the red flag. So I thought it was just he really getting angry because he lost a big chance. But after the race, I recognized that, so it was. Yeah, it was sad because I don't know who was in charge of that, but because of the big tragedy that happened many years ago here in Japan. Lucky enough, we didn't have to experience the same kind of thing this year, but let's hope that Formula One and FIA and, I don't know, Suzuka maybe will investigate and give us a good result or investigation why it happened and why will it not happen again in the future.
Yeah, I mean, my personal feelings on this are that it's a slightly gray area in the regulations, in that when you're behind the safety car, things are safe, and the race is, they use the word neutralized because you're following in a pack. But it's equally correct for a driver who's, like Pierre has, pitted early while the safety car was just coming out, to now catch up to the back of the pack. That's totally correct. And as I understand it, he hadn't gone over the delta time of that lap behind the safety car. But obviously nonetheless, both sides doing things correctly, safety car being deployed, they felt the track was neutralized and therefore bring out the safety workers, not only, of course, the tractor, but the workers.
Yeah.
My feeling is that maybe looking at WEC, and you covered WEC for many years, that we need to actually come up with a kind of slow zone concept where between turn A and B, whatever else is happening, and we can communicate with the drivers. This, first of all, with lights on the steering wheel, we can communicate. Mr. De Vries, the race director, is very used to, with the Le Mans drivers, telling them precisely what to do and not to
exactly, do. And counting down, until the slow zone.
Exactly. We hear it at Le Mans every year, don't we? The details like that.
Exactly. Well, no rules are perfect. Like the rules that we were confusing after the race with the points, also had a big change, and we were like confused why he is not a champion, why Verstappen is not a champion, or now he's becoming a champion. Why isn't it happening? We were confused with the points. Yeah. And also, with all those double yellow flags, virtual safety car, no rules is perfect, I think. So, but the important thing is we have to learn from it, from every situation. So. Formula One has improved significantly from maybe the tragedy of Senna days, like for this 30 years, maybe almost, and it's becoming much more safer. We saw that with Zhou Gangyu this year. So I think it's about learning, and things happens, and of course it's the best way to just prevent it and stopping from happening it. But once it happens, we should just investigate and come up with a good idea. So maybe the slow zone is a good answer for that.
Could be.
Why not?
Could be. Sascha, it's been great to talk to you. Really appreciate you giving us your time, especially after a very long day in the commentary box, and then an even longer day getting back home to Tokyo from Nagoya. Gosh, very grateful. Thank you. I look forward to meeting you in real life next time I'm in Tokyo.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have some sake.
Yes, anytime. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.